The kingdom believed the nightmare was over. The false maid was gone. The truth had been restored. The real Princess Annie now sat beside the king, dressed in silk and gold, her head crowned with jewels that shimmered like captured sunlight. The people celebrated for 7 days and 7 nights. Music filled the streets. Lanterns floated into the sky like stars escaping the earth. But on the 8th night, the sky turned wrong. There was no storm, no wind, no thunder, just silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until your heart starts beating louder than it should. Annie woke at midnight with a gasp. Her room was freezing. Her breath fogged the air. The candles had burned out on their own, leaving thin trails of smoke that twisted like black fingers. Then she heard it. A whisper. Soft, close, right behind her ear. "You are wearing what is mine." Annie spun around. No one was there. Her pulse raced. She wrapped her cloak around herself and stepped into the hallway. The palace guards stood frozen like statues, eyes wide, mouths slightly open, as if they were trapped between breaths. She waved a hand in front of one guard's face. "Nothing!" He didn't blink. The whisper came again. "Come!" Her feet moved before her mind agreed. She walked through the silent palace, down cold marble stairs, into the courtyard where moonlight spilled like silver blood across the stone. The geese were gathered around the old well. Hundreds of them. They stood perfectly still, watching her. Annie's stomach tightened. She stepped closer. The water inside the well was black. Not dark from shadow. Black, like ink. It swallowed the moon's reflection. It swallowed light itself. And then the geese opened their beaks. They screamed. Not like birds. Like people. Like souls burning. Annie fell to her knees, hands over her ears. But the sound was inside her skull. Her vision blurred. The world tilted, and from the well a hand emerged, pale, elegant, wearing a ring crowned with a broken ruby. It gripped the stone edge and pulled. A woman climbed out slowly, her gown dripping black water that evaporated into smoke. Her hair floated around her like it was underwater, her eyes glowing faintly gold. Annie tried to crawl away. The woman smiled. "You should not have worn my crown." Annie's head exploded with pain. She screamed, but her voice changed halfway through. It deepened. A second voice layered over her own, ancient and furious. The woman dissolved into smoke and rushed into Annie's mouth. The courtyard went dark. When the torches relit themselves moments later, Annie was standing, perfectly still, smiling, but it wasn't her smile. The king found her at dawn, sitting on the throne. She hadn't moved. Her eyes were open, unblinking. The court gathered, whispering nervously. When the king touched her shoulder, she turned slowly. Her gaze was not human. "I remember this room," she said softly. "It used to be smaller." The king stumbled back. The royal magician stepped forward, trembling. He studied the crown, his face drained of color. "It's her," he whispered. "The first queen." The room froze. The legend was older than the castle itself. The first queen had murdered her own sister to steal the throne. The sister's blood cursed the crown. When the queen drowned years later, her spirit clung to the gold. trapped but waiting for a host strong enough to carry her back into the world. Ani smiled wider. You kept my seat warm. The torches burst into black flame. Servants screamed and ran. Shadows peeled off the walls and slithered across the floor like living things. The air thickened, heavy with the smell of wet earth and decay. And then the goose boy walked in, calm / unafraid. He looked at Ani, at the queen inside her, and bowed. You've been gone a long time. The possessed princess laughed softly. And you've grown. The court stared in shock. The boy raised his sleeve. A glowing mark burned on his wrist, the sigil of the murdered sister. I am her blood, he said. Her line did not end. The queen's eyes narrowed. The magician gasped. The protector. The boy nodded. I was born to end this. The queen rose from the throne. The castle shook as she stepped forward. Cracks spidered across the marble floor. You cannot kill me, she whispered. I don't need to, the boy replied. I only need to take her back. Ani's real voice cried out from inside the prison of her own body. The boy hesitated. The queen smiled. She will forget everything. The spirit whispered sweetly. Her name, her past, her love. She will be empty. The king stepped forward desperately. There must be another way. There isn't, said the magician. A soul must anchor the seal. Either hers or the kingdom burns. Outside, the ground split open. Black water flooded the streets. People screamed as shadows crawled from the cracks. The boy looked at Ani. Ani looked back, and through the queen's golden glare, her real eyes shone with tears. Do it, she whispered. The boy began the ritual. Light exploded from his mark, wrapping around Ani like chains of fire. The queen shrieked, her voice shaking the sky. The crown melted into liquid gold, flowing down Ani's face like tears. Memories spilled out of her in glowing fragments. A mother's lullaby, a childhood laugh, a promise under the stars. They shattered one by one. Ani screamed, not in pain, but in loss. The queen clawed at the light, fighting to stay, but the chains dragged her backward. The courtyard filled with howling wind as her spirit tore free, sucked into the burning sigil on the boy's wrist. He collapsed. Silence returned. The water receded. The cracks sealed. Ani fell to the ground. When she opened her eyes, they were empty. The king rushed to her. Ani. She blinked slowly. I don't know that name, she said softly. The court wept. The magician bowed his head. The boy smiled weakly. The mark on his wrist faded to ash. The queen is gone, he whispered. Forever. Then he vanished. Not in smoke, not in light. He simply wasn't there anymore. Like a memory erased. Ani stood, looking around the throne room like a stranger in a dream. Where am I? She asked gently. The king took her hands, tears streaming down his face. You're home, he said. And though she didn't remember him, se es mild, because somewhere deep inside the hollow space where her memories used to live, se felt safe.